This follow-up podcast follows up on the CVT transmission problems I'm having with my Nissan Rogue from 2023 that I rented from Hertz Uber in downtown San Diego. So I've had 1 week to test out my experiment, my hypothetical protocol for kind of temporarily fixing the problem that I'm having on my own by rebooting the system every time I come to a complete stop, so that it will successfully go into first gear and come out of first gear and go into second gear, etc. when I leave the full stop at a red light or a stop sign. Unfortunately, switching out of drive into park mode does not work. It worked for about 4 days and then it stopped working. And then consistently, once a day, the car would remain frozen in first gear no matter how much I revved it with gas. So I tried a new protocol, and so far it's working. I'll do another recording if it fails, but otherwise, if you don't hear from me another session of these recordings on this topic, then you'll assume that it does work. It's extreme, though. It requires turning off the car. So what happens is, when the car comes to a complete stop, it decides to turn off the engine. I've seen this happen in a lot of cars months ago when I was driving Instacart, when I was driving around in a Ford Fiesta from 2018. My car wasn't doing that. It's too old. It doesn't have the software, whatever, to do that. And maybe you can only turn off an engine at a full stop if you're a car manufacturer programming the car to do this, if you have a CVT transmission to do it. I don't know. Maybe it's something peculiar to CVT transmissions, unique to CVT transmissions. C is in Charlie, V is in Victor, T is in Thomas. I forget what the acronym stands for. I think the V means variable and T is transmission, so I don't know what the C means. So maybe it only happens due to the fact that it's a software-driven simulation of a transmission with no actual gears in the transmission. So it's not really a transmission. They should call it an FT, a fake transmission, but they don't. So the problem seems to be when it turns off the engine at a full stop, it does not turn it off correctly, with a kind of a lingering doubt as to how it will engage in activity again when it turns it back on. In other words, when it goes into first gear, it refuses to go out of first gear and it stays there. So I have to turn it off correctly by turning off the car. And that's not so bad if there's plenty of time at the red light or stop sign, but sometimes there's not enough time. And so that delays me to leave the intersection. Or worse, stop-and-go traffic. Oh my God, that is a nightmare of turning off the engine, turning off the car, and then restarting it. And, oh boy, very stressful. But that's the only way to clear the software to turn off the engine correctly so that when it turns back on again and I go into drive, I'm able to leave first gear, or the transmission, I should say, is capable of leaving first gear and go into second as the car accelerates, as I accelerate the car in picking up speed. So that is my update, and it sucks, but I have no choice because I cannot be without a car for a single day or a single night. I have to make money every day, working from morning to night, and I need a place to sleep at night. And that was not good. So, needless to say, that's my recording. Let's see, what else? There was something else. Oh, I found out from one of my Uber clients that it's not a recent phenomenon. Unlike what the service personnel at Nissan dealer told me, it's not the recent model year 2023 that this is occurring seemingly for all automobile manufacturers coming out of Japan. It may only be Nissan, but it's been for 15 years. They've been putting the CVT transmission in their cars, and they must be a company of gamblers because they keep doing it. Gambling on the fact that the transmission becomes problematic only a certain percentage of the time, and they figure the rest of the time they don't care. At least it works, and so it's too complicated to fix, so they just swap it out, no problem. The odds are in their favor to keep using it. So I think that's ridiculous, but I think they're being forced or pressured to do that due to the fact that they're probably liable to default on their bank loans that are issued by United States banks. And so it's a monetary pressure that forces them to act insane for the white-collar executives to give the blue-collar engineers the executive order that we must do this. We must create this great sales feature to help sell more cars. And provide a feature that is not available in other cars. It's basically saying the same thing. Well, anyway, I've said enough.